Picture this. You're stranded on the side of a busy, rainy highway in a brand new $80,000 electric vehicle.
Right.
And you didn't run out of battery, your complex navigation system didn't crash, and you definitely didn't get hacked.
No.
You were sitting on the shoulder of the road because of a piece of technology that is, over 100 years old, a rubber tire.
It is the ultimate collision of the future and the past.
Hmm.
You have a vehicle that functions like basically a rolling supercomputer, completely incapacitated by a simple pothole.
Welcome to today's deep dive. Our mission today is to take you far beyond the pristine, sleek showroom floors of modern car dealerships and look at the actual physical friction of keeping electric vehicles moving.
Yeah, because if you only look at the commercials, it seems like this frictionless reality, right?
Exactly.
You buy this giant smartphone on wheels, you plug it in, and you go. But to make that actually happen, there is this massive, sprawling, and largely invisible ecosystem operating in the background.
And we really brought the receipts for this one. We are pulling insights from a really fascinating stack of sources today.
Oh, yeah. It's a heavy stack.
We've got technical briefs from battery and electrification technology, state planning documents from New Mexico's NEVI program, a policy presentation from the California Energy Commission.
There's an article on Circle K's new rechargeries, mobile charging specs from Exos trucks, and a comprehensive market report on the U.S. vehicle roadside assistance industry.
So we are going to save you time and pull out the absolute most fascinating aha moments from all this dense material. Because while the flashy new EVs get all the headlines, the infrastructure is where the actual revolution is happening.
Right.
We're talking about AI diagnosing battery death before it even happens, convenience stores transforming into power hubs, and yes, that surprisingly high rate of EV flat tires.
It's wild. But, before we look at the roads, we really have to look inside the cars first.
Yeah.
Because the internal hardware is getting so incredibly powerful, it's essentially dictating what the outside world has to build to support it.
The microchips alone are staggering. If we look at the battery and electrification technology brief, the industry is experiencing this massive convergence of hardware and software.
Oh, absolutely. Look at the microchip manufacturer Renesas. They just unveiled their Gen 5 R-Car X5H system on chip.
Right, the 3-nanometer one.
Exactly, built on 3-nanometer technology. And it's designed to deliver up to 400 TOPS of AI acceleration.
Okay, hold on. Let's unpack that. Because, I'm just driving my car to the grocery store.
Right.
400 TOPS, which is trillions of operations per second. Why on earth does a car need to do trillions of mathematical equations just to get me down the street?
Because a modern EV isn't just turning a drive shaft anymore. It's a software-defined vehicle.
Okay.
It is constantly processing high-definition video from, multiple cameras for driver assistance. It's running complex infotainment displays, monitoring battery health, anticipating traffic.
It's basically a data center.
It really is.
Yeah.
It needs that AI acceleration just to process the sheer volume of environmental data in real time.
Yeah.
But here's the catch. Pushing all that data around a car creates a secondary problem.
Which is what?
Electromagnetic noise.
Oh, right.
Yeah, when you have high-voltage battery packs pushing massive amounts of electricity through thick cables to power a motor, it creates a powerful electromagnetic field. Think of it like trying to have a whispered conversation while standing right next to a roaring jet engine.
Oh, wow. So the electrical noise can actually scramble the delicate sensor data traveling through the car's wiring.
Exactly.
So the car is essentially yelling over itself.
That's a great analogy.
Uh-huh.
And that is exactly why companies like Valens are stepping in. The briefs highlight their VA7000 chipset.
Okay.
Its entire purpose is to manage those massive sensor data rates while fighting off that electromagnetic interference, just ensuring the safety sensors don't get scrambled by the battery's raw power.
Speaking of the battery, there was a concept in the Energsoft brief that completely blew my mind.
Oh, the impedance monitoring?
Yes. They are tackling battery degradation, but they aren't using physical tools. They built what I can only describe as an EKG for batteries.
Yeah, the software-defined framework for battery impedance.
Right, but let's translate that for anyone listening who, isn't an electrical engineer.
Sure.
Usually, to figure out if a battery is getting sick, to measure its impedance, which is kind of like plaque building up in an artery, you need to hook it up to bulky, complex measuring hardware.
Right.
But Enersoft figured out how to do it entirely with software by reading pulse responses.
It's brilliant. Think of a pulse response like sending a tiny, harmless shockwave through the battery and carefully listening to the echo.
Mm-hmm.
By analyzing how the electricity ripples and bounces back, the software can spot a heart murmur, basically, a tiny defect or early signs of degradation.
Mm-hmm.
And it does this long before the battery actually fails.
And without adding any new hardware, right?
Exactly. They're just reinterpreting the existing data streams, like incremental opacity, without adding a single new physical sensor to the car.
It is entirely software reading the heartbeat of the battery. And this seems to be a theme, right? The shift from reactive to preemptive. I saw the exact same thing with thermal management.
Oh, yeah. What's fascinating here is the coupled electrothermal model.
Okay, break that down.
Well, traditionally, if an engine or a battery got hot, a physical temperature sensor would finally register the heat, and then the car would turn on a cooling system.
It was entirely reactive.
Right. Now, AI is running these coupled models to predict hotspots before they even happen. The software simulates the thermal physics on the fly and optimizes the temperature uniformity across the battery pack.
Wow.
It literally cools the battery before the battery even knows it's going to get hot.
Which obviously extends the life of the battery and keeps you from losing performance on the highway. But, the physical materials themselves are also changing, right? It isn't just software magic.
No, we're seeing massive leaps there, too. 24M Technologies is pioneering something called an electrode-to-pack system, or ETOP.
ETOP, right.
Historically, battery cells are bundled into modules, and then those modules are bundled into a pack. There's just a lot of heavy, inactive packaging material.
Dead weight.
Exactly. 24M is directly integrating the electrodes into the pack itself. By cutting out that middleman packaging, the battery becomes safer, much lighter, and far more energy dense.
Now, the research out of Rice University is what really caught my eye.
Oh, the thermal stuff?
Yeah, it sounds like pure science fiction. They are developing thermophotovoltaic systems, TPV. The brief mentions they are using, and I quote, quantum physics-inspired thermal emitters to turn industrial waste heat into electricity at over 60% efficiency.
It's wild.
If I'm hearing quantum emitters, I need you to explain how that actually works.
Well, it sounds like a Marvel movie, right? But the mechanism is fascinating. Heavy industry produces a massive amount of waste heat. A TPV system essentially captures that raw heat and funnels it into a specialized material, the emitter. Because of its microscopic quantum-level structure, this material takes the chaotic heat and converts it into a very specific narrow wavelength of glowing light.
Huh.
Then, specialized solar-like cells absorb that specific light and turn it directly into grid-scale electricity.
So wait, they are turning heat into a custom-made flashlight beam and then using a solar panel to catch it?
Boiled down, yes. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. And at 60% efficiency, it can become a wildly affordable alternative to building giant, expensive battery storage facilities for the power grid itself.
But this brings up a glaring issue, I think.
Right.
We were talking about supercomputers on wheels, predicting thermal dynamics, communicating through electromagnetic noise, relying on quantum-inspired grid tech.
Right.
How does the physical world outside the car actually support vehicles with this level of power demand? The cars are living in the year 2030, but our public grid feels like it's stuck in 2005.
Yeah, the physical infrastructure is definitely the bottleneck here. And historically, the rollout has been really sluggish. Look at the Federal National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Program, NEV. It passed years ago, but fewer than 100 stations funded by that federal initiative have actually opened across the entire country.
That's rough. But the federal rollout might be slow, whereas the state-level momentum in these reports tells a totally different story.
Oh, for sure.
Like, New Mexico's latest NEV formula program update shows they are incredibly active. They've already launched 8 stations using over $5.47 million in federal funds.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting wasn't just the dollar amount, it was their strategy. They are strictly mapping out corridor connections first.
Right, like that critical 80-mile stretch of US 285 from Espanola up to the Colorado border.
Exactly. And why focus there first? Because it's a vital artery for long-distance travel. If you can't cross the state, the whole EV market dies.
Right.
But the insight here is that once they get these major highway corridors built out, New Mexico plans to pivot their funding entirely to community charging. They want to fill in the local gaps so people in apartments or rural areas aren't left in a charging desert.
And Washington State is adopting a very similar philosophy. They are investing $37.3 million to add over 750 new ports by late 2027.
Wow.
And they are aggressively targeting rural and tribal areas because they recognize that highway chargers don't really help you if you can't charge your car in your own neighborhood.
And we really can't ignore the political and macroeconomic forces that are forcing these states to act so aggressively.
No, we have to look at California for that context. According to the reporting, California EV sales dropped to 13.7% in the first quarter of 2026.
Right.
And Governor Gavin Newsom recently announced a $1 billion rebate specifically for electric trucks. And, to be clear, we are just impartially reporting the facts presented in these documents.
Of course.
But the stated rationale from the governor's office frames this as a necessary state-level intervention. In their view, shifting federal policies are ceding the global clean vehicle market to China. So California is stepping in with heavy subsidies to try and stabilize the domestic market.
So where the government is trying to subsidize, the private sector is realizing there is actual money to be made.
Big money.
Like Alimentation Pouchtart, the company that operates Circle K. They just announced a massive partnership with a network called Iona.
Yeah.
They are dropping ultra-high power, 400-kilowatt chargers into 350 of their U.S. stores. Why does a convenience store suddenly want to be a power plant?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it comes down to two words. Dwell time.
Dwell time.
Yeah. If you drive a gas car, think about your average trip to the pump. You are there for maybe 3 minutes. Half the time, you don't even walk inside the store.
You swipe your card, pump, and leave.
Exactly. But an EV driver using a fast charger is going to be sitting there for 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes.
Right.
That creates a completely captive audience. Circle K has a brand new updated food service program. What better way to sell hot dogs, coffee, and snacks than to a driver who literally has nothing else to do but wait?
That makes brilliant business sense.
It does. And Iona is banking on this model. They are aiming to deploy 30,000 fast charging sites for 2030 across various retail partnerships.
30,000 sites. But, I mean, if you're listening to this and you actually drive an EV, you know the darkest secret of the charging network.
Oh, yeah.
It's one thing to build 30,000 chargers. It's another thing entirely to keep them working. There is nothing more infuriating than rolling up to a charger with a 5% battery, plugging in, and the screen is completely dead.
The broken charger epidemic.
Yes.
And this is exactly why the California Energy Commission, the CEC, just rolled out their new EV charger data and reliability standards.
Okay.
They took effect in April 2026, and they are essentially forcing accountability. If you install a state or ratepayer-funded DC fast charger after January 2024, you are legally mandated to maintain the 97% annual uptime standard.
Okay, but I have to push back on this a little bit. Is 97% uptime actually realistic?
It's a high bar.
I mean, if I'm a private charging company, I'm dealing with copper wire thieves, cutting my cables, software glitches, extreme weather. And if I fail, California says they will publish biennial reliability rankings to publicly shame me and cut off my future grant funding.
Right.
Won't a strict mandate like that just scare companies away from building in California?
That is the risk, definitely. But the state's counter-argument is that the alternative, a landscape of abandoned, broken chargers, destroys consumer confidence entirely.
Fair point.
And the regulations go deeper than just uptime. For chargers installed after September 2026, they are forced to use a specific software protocol called OCPP 2.0.1.
Okay, another acronym. What does OCPP actually do?
Think of it as a universal translator. In the early days, every charging network used its own proprietary software language. The car spoke one language, the charger spoke another, the payment app spoke a third.
A total mess.
Yeah. OCPP 2.0.1 is an open protocol that forces everything to speak the same language. It means the state can pull operational data from any charger within 60 minutes to verify if it's actually working.
And companies also have to share their pricing and port status in real time with third-party app developers.
Exactly.
So you don't drive 20 miles out of your way only to find out the charger is broken or costs triple what you expected. It's like a strict health inspector, but for public tech infrastructure.
Right. But what if you aren't an individual driver? What if you are running a massive commercial fleet of electric delivery vans?
Oh, that's a whole different game.
You don't own the warehouse depot, so you can't dig up the concrete to install permanent chargers, and you definitely can't rely on the public grid yet.
So what does this all mean for fleets? This is where I thought the mobile solutions in the reports were fascinating. Exos Trucks released their second-generation Exos Hub.
Yeah, the mobile charger.
It is essentially a massive transportable battery pack on a trailer, a battery that charges other batteries.
It is incredibly dense, too. You hold 390 kilowatt hours of energy. They managed to shrink the physical footprint by 43%, down to just 16 feet long, but boosted the output to 40 kilowatts.
That's impressive.
You can plug 5 commercial EVs into it at the exact same time.
But how does the giant battery itself get charged without, tripping the local grid?
Telematics. The hub uses software to monitor grid pricing in real time. It acts almost like an electricity stock trader.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it waits until off-peak hours, say 3:00 a.m., when electricity is incredibly cheap and plentiful. It quietly charges itself up. Then, during the day when the delivery vans return, it dispenses that cheap power to the fleet.
Wow.
It completely bypasses the need for expensive, permanent grid upgrades.
So we have predictive AI thermal management inside the cars. We have 97% state-mandated uptime for public chargers. We have mobile battery hubs trading electricity at 3 a.m. It sounds like we have solved absolutely everything with software.
Until the physical world strikes back. Machines interact with the physical environment, and physics always wins eventually.
Which brings us to the $3.69 billion U.S. vehicle roadside assistance market. I mentioned the flat tire epidemic at the very beginning of the deep dive, and the data in this custom market insights report is shocking.
It really is.
If you stop the average person on the street and ask what they think the number one reason an EV breaks down is, they will say range anxiety. They assume the battery died.
It is the most common fear by far. But the data tells a completely different story.
Here's where it gets really interesting. AAA analyzed 160,000 EV service calls. Guess how many were dispatched because the car simply ran out of charge?
Barely any.
Only 4%.
Yeah.
The real culprit driving this massive multi-billion-dollar roadside assistance market is flat tires.
Right.
I mean, why are we building 3-nanometer microchips just to get defeated by rubber?
It really comes down to weight and torque. First, electric vehicles are incredibly heavy. On average, they weigh about 30% more than a comparable internal combustion engine car because of those dense lithium-ion battery packs.
Right, batteries are heavy.
That weight puts a constant crushing stress on the tires. But it isn't just static weight.
It's the braking, right?
Regenerative braking. In a traditional car, when you take your foot off the gas, the car coasts.
Yeah.
In an EV, the moment you lift your foot, the electric motor instantly reverses its polarity to slow the car down and capture kinetic energy back into the battery.
So it's applying force in an opposite direction.
Instant twisting force, torque directly to the contact patch where the rubber meets the road.
Ouch.
It is like taking a pencil eraser and scrubbing it furiously against the pavement every single time you lift your foot.
Wow.
Between the massive weight and the constant regenerative torque, EV tires were wearing down to the threads much faster, and they are blowing out on potholes at unprecedented rates.
So the roadside assistance industry is booming, just changing heavy tires on the side of the highway.
Pretty much.
But the report noted they are facing 2 incredibly modern threats while trying to do this old-school job.
Yeah, the first is cybersecurity.
Wait, hacking a tow truck? Why would anyone hack a tow truck?
Because everything is connected now.
Yeah.
The stranded vehicle, the dispatch center, and the tow truck are all communicating through cloud-based software.
Oh, right.
Hackers are actively targeting these dispatch networks with ransomware. If they lock up the dispatch system, you have thousands of stranded drivers held hostage on the side of the highway until the company pays the ransom.
That is terrifying.
And they can also steal incredibly precise customer location data.
You pull over with a blown tire in the rain and help never comes because a server got locked down by ransomware. Just brutal. What is the second threat?
It brings us back to macroeconomics.
Well,
Specifically, the cascading effect of tariffs.
okay.
A recent 25% import tax on auto parts coming from Mexico and Canada is trickling down to the consumer level, and it's driving up the cost of basic vehicle repairs. The report noted that standard brake replacements can cost $100 more purely because the replacement parts are taxed.
And when costs go up for everyday people, what happens? They postpone their maintenance? If the brakes cost an extra $100, or a new set of EV tires costs $1,200, drivers will push those wearing tires and grinding brakes just a few thousand miles further.
Which directly leads to more catastrophic highway breakdowns, straining the roadside assistance networks even further. It is a massive chain reaction triggered by a tax on parts.
So if you are listening to this on your commute right now, just look at the cars around you.
Yeah, take a look.
The next time you see a sleek EV silently gliding past you, think about the incredibly complex web keeping it moving. It isn't just a battery and a motor.
Not at all.
It is AI software running EKG tests on the battery cells. It's states like New Mexico mapping out 80-mile survival corridors. It's convenience stores like Circle K reimagining themselves as high-tech waiting rooms.
Hmm.
And it's a multi-billion-dollar towing industry scrambling to replace shredded tires while actively fending off cyber attacks.
It is a phenomenal ecosystem. And, it raises an important question to leave you with today. As these vehicles become even more deeply integrated with IoT sensors and predictive AI, how long will it be until your car software realizes its own tire is wearing out, cross-references a new tariff on replacement parts, finds the cheapest mechanic in your zip code, and automatically dispatches a roadside assistance drone to your location, all before you even notice the tire pressure light coming on?
A drone changing a tire while the car plays the stock market for electricity. That is a wild thought. The ultimate frictionless reality built entirely on top of a wildly complicated ecosystem. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. You are now officially the most well-informed person for your next meeting.